Welcome to the Transform online course. My name is Luca Pellerano and I'm a social protection advisor with the International Labour Organization based in Lusaka, Zambia. In this video, I will present you the general course structure that you will follow in the coming weeks for learning the Transform content and exchanging experiences with other participants. This video is divided in 3 sessions: the course overview and purpose, its methodology, and the course structure. Let's start with why Transform. The principal objective of Transform is to build critical mindsets and capacities of policymakers and practitioners at national and decentralized levels in the African region to improve the governance and administration of social protection systems. But what does make Transform unique? There are 4 distinctive features of the Transform learning package. First, the Transform learning package is built on the premise that social protection systems are complex and interdependent. There are different building blocks: administration, governance, financing, monitoring, coordination are some of the blocks reflected on this map, and also represent the different models of the Transform package. The development of each of these blocks do not only pose specific technical and capacity development challenges, but also each of these components bring different institutions, people, interests, and agendas. We may want to say that because of this complexity, social protection systems are ever-evolving organisms, human systems, if you like, shaped by history, institutional inertia, social values, cultural resistance, and politics. Transform tries to look at social protection system in an holistic manner, accepting that change will happen in the understanding of how the different parts relate to the whole. Second, the Transform learning package focuses primarily on issues of governance and administration. Experience suggests that the implementation gap, the gap between intention and action, is often where social protection systems fall short. There is a tension between ideal model design and actual capacity to implement. An ideal model-inspired program or institution may not work in practice. The process of change and transformation in social protection is not only a technical problem. As change involves tackling new and emerging complex problems, it is necessarily an emergent and gradual process. There is a risk of importing models from abroad that can fail because they don't speak to the history, context, and capacity for implementation. The ambition of Transform is to inform social protection systems from a thorough understanding of the actual drivers and capacity for realistic implementation. Only sustainable governance and administration, grounded in accepted institutions, meeting social expectations and needs, will make a difference in people's lives. The focus on implementation is also important for another reason. Implementation instruments and processes are not neutral and are not only informed by technical judgments, even when presented as such. Instead, they bring implicitly fundamental value judgments that have the potential to change the nature of social protection systems from within. The way procedures for registration of beneficiaries or payments are designed can seriously affect the objectives of a social protection system, and ultimately the way it impacts on people's lives. This is why focusing on the nuts and bolts is so important. We need to avoid a process of reverse engineering, where the tools available determine how the system will look like in the end. Third, Transform is informed by a rights-based approach to building social protection systems. Implementation does not only has to be technically sound, but also principled. We see a rights-based approach to building social protection systems not only as an outcome in itself, the vision that social protection is a right for all, but as a practical way to make social protection systems more transparent, more socially accepted, adaptable, and reactive to needs in a way to reduce exclusion and avoid forms of discrimination. A rights-based perspective provides a lens through which to assess and construct governance and administration processes. Are social protection system rules and processes understood and transparent? Are social protection systems and procedures contestable? Have beneficiaries the right to claim or to demand that certain standards and principles are adhered to in the administration of social protection? Is users' feedback effectively contributing to shaping the design of systems to ensure users' needs are really met? Is leadership and management accountable, and are errors or fraud effectively addressed? The anchor for the right approach of Transform is the ILO Recommendation 202 on social protection floors, an internationally recognized lens through which social protection systems can be analyzed from a rights-based perspective. But ultimately, the purpose, as the title says, is to transform social protection systems. There is little point in training for the sake of building technical understanding and sound knowledge. Transform is about encouraging social protection practitioners to lead social protection change in the context of their institutions, by improving their ability to address real problems and ensuring solutions are acceptable and meet expectations. For this, the Transform approach, borrowing from work of colleagues working at the PDIA initiative at Harvard University, sees change as the overlap of three areas. First, ability, which goes well beyond technical knowledge and includes available resources, time, relations, and capacity to influence. Second, authority, who provides the supporting environment for social protection change. Is it a law? Is it a policy? Are policymakers really buying in? And third, acceptability. What other interests and agenda are at play that may act as forces of transformation or forces of resistance? What is in the process of social protection reform for different agents? And how does this affect the way they frame the problem? The Transform Learning Package includes a dedicated track on leadership. The pedagogical approach of Transform is based on the principle that everyone involved in the training can take leadership for change at different levels of a social protection system and can contribute to transforming that system. A vision of distributed leadership rather than heroic leadership, as reflected in the two images on this slide, recognizes that there is space and need for leadership at all levels, where there is need to transform complex, deep-seated problems in low-capacity environments. Transform also recognizes that status quo may depend on entrenched views. The way we frame the problem is critical. There is often a risk of defining a problem by its solution, a best practice that excites actors and prompts them to action, but unfortunately may not always be implementable. This is why the Transform Learning Package puts so much emphasis on adopting a common language, deconstruct our own implicit myths and beliefs, and learn to learn again on a new basis, informed by a better understanding of complexity, context, and conditions for change. In sum, the Transform curriculum will offer an overview of basic social protection floors, the components and functions of an interdependent social protection system, the drivers of change, and the importance of leadership in transforming social protection. The course purpose is that you return to your individual context, being able to appreciate the complexity and interdependence of your current social protection system while assessing your needs, envisage solutions and possibilities for your context based on mind shifts and experiences from similar contexts, and conclude what and how you want to change on your personal leadership and transformation journey in social protection. The Transform curriculum was built with the support of many practitioners working on social protection in Africa, and it is specifically tailored to the needs of the region. This was an essential process, as the course aims to build a shared knowledge base of social protection floors in Africa, providing a space for reflection and exchange. Transform Social Protection is a collective project that involves a large number of people, institutions, and partners that have social protection at heart. The Transform Learning Package is created at the request of the African Union, and a number of African governments are domesticated its content to the capacity building needs of their respective countries. The Transform initiative is brought forward by several agencies of the United Nations, working together as one, including UNICEF, UNDP, the IPCIG, and the ILO. Transform is the fruit of a long-lasting partnership with Irish Aid and the European Union Social Protection System Programme, funded by Finland and Germany. Reach out to the Transform agencies that are working in your country if you want to get more information about the initiative and their involvement. Transform builds on the great wealth of experience accumulated in Africa with the implementation of own domestic approaches to building and managing national social protection floors. It aims to facilitate peer-to-peer learning, cross-fertilization of ideas through shared reflection on practice. As this slide shows, implementation processes are often less linear and straightforward than we would want to think. They follow a process of muddling through. Social protection systems are shaped by history, institutions, views of society and elites, and ultimately by politics. Because they are about the search of a model that works for a given society in a given point in time, a social pact or a social compact, if you like, about a level of poverty and inequality a society wants to accept. Social protection systems cannot be implemented in one go. They are built progressively on the premise of trial and error. There is no best practice, but all practices are relevant in the process of learning. In this sense, Transform wants to offer first and foremost an opportunity to reflect and question the journey of building social protection systems in your country. The course will adopt an experiential learning methodology, while you will be learning by doing and by discovering instead of passively listening and reading the content presented to you. You will be then actively involved in the learning process, doing your own research and building up your own knowledge. This is essential, as most of your learning will be from the interaction with other participants in peer-to-peer learning activities where you will be able to apply what you will be experiencing. So, how is the course structured? The Transform online course is organized into 8 modules, each of them with weekly duration. The course will last 10 weeks in total, 1 introductory weeks, the 8 modules, and 1 last week for wrap-up and final assignment. The expected workload is of 5 hours per week. The modules are selection and identification, legal framework, administration, monitoring and evaluation, management and information systems, coordination, governance, financing and financial management. As a tutor course, participants will be guided along 10 weeks through individual and group activities. Individual activities comprise various options of quiz, reading, graphic materials and videos for each module. Group activities cover content from 1 or more modules and request participants to interact with each other for delivering a proposed assignment. This will be a great moment for you to experiment with the knowledge you will acquire, as well as to share your experiences and learn from your peers. At the end of the course, participants will also deliver a final written assignment. We imagine that at this point, you may have many expectations and queries on the weeks to come. We are eager to hear from you and get to know you better. Thus, we invite you to attend an introductory webinar to present the course structure in more detail and open the floor to queries and exchange. This will be a great chance for participants to introduce themselves. Don't miss it out.